Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Global Trust Foundation's interview about digital identity, where we're going to explore digital trust, decentralized ecosystems, and the future of secure identities. I'm Petr Chardakov, and I'm one of the founders of Global Trust Foundation and project manager over there. And today, our guest is Steffen Schwalm, which is a board advisor to the foundation. And we are thrilled to be joined by his expertise, as Stefan has a very rich background in information science and over 14 years of experience in management and technology consulting, focusing on um, self-sovereign identity, eIDAS, trust services, PKI, digital identity as a whole, trustworthy decentralized ecosystems, preservation, legal compliance and security. And he's an author of numerous publications on these main subjects. Since October 2022, he is leading digital identity, SSI, and eIDAS business at MSG Group. And Stefan, it's a great pleasure having you today, and welcome to this very first interview uh, of identity topics for GTF. How are you feeling?
Fine, fine. Always great to be the first one.
Perfect. So, this is going to be quite a short interview, and we have prepared a few important questions for today. So, my first question to our guest today will be, Stefan, what is the current state of digital identity wallets in Germany right now? Can you please describe us?
Yeah, I think the approach from Germany is a bit special. As you know, Germany started a public consultation on the subject, which is led by Sprint. So the Federal Authority for Disruptive Innovations. The project is led, by experts like Thorsten Lotterstedt, Christina Yasuda, etc. And this approach is a bit unique because it gives the possibility for the um, community, for companies, for experts to contribute on the architecture, on business models, etc. And the current status is a bit that we have the development of we call evolution solution. This is something done internally, and in parallel, you have the Sprint Funke, which is a bit like a innovative competition on core subjects on the UDI wallet stuff. So how to issue a PID in the wallet, how to deal with the qualified attestation of attribute stuff, with the strong customer authentication stuff, and to have at least an approach with 6 parties funded, 6 parties non-funded, working on this stuff, and a bit like pre-commercial procurements in the EU after each round to decrease the participants and then to get the best approach or the best solutions, best results for improvement of the German UDI wallet. And we have one, I think, really exciting new information which came up exactly today. The Federal Ministry of Interior just announced that the German government will issue an UDI wallet from the government, yes, for everybody. But
Mm.
they also mentioned that they will give the citizens and companies the freedom of choice. It means the German government clearly announced that they will also allow private wallets from private companies to be endorsed and certified against the requirements of the eIDAS regulation. This is really, really great because it's a really big change from a more governmental focused approach we had in the last years in Germany up to an approach which is a bit an interaction between private solutions and governmental solutions. So a bit like the that mentioned the freedom of choice on one hand, and also a bit the competition for the best. So, and this is, I think, a really great stuff. So, long story short, we have the development of the German wallet on one hand, and we have this really unique and great approach of this public consultation by Sprint and the Sprint Funke challenge. And for this, I think there are many people in other member states who are a bit jealous about this transparent approach of Germany, and also maybe a bit surprised that it's not typically German to be so transparent.
No, that's great, and thank you for that answer. So Germany then sticks to the actual rules, as we're expecting as well, that the European wallet will be either three sets. That will be a state wallet, state issued wallet, a collaboration between state and private, and then fully private. So you will definitely have the choice of those three, correct?
Yes, yeah, um, it's the third option. To be precise, it's the third option. If you look in Article 5 of the eIDAS, you have the three ones. You have one, the government issues only a governmental one. You have an UDI wallet which is issued on behalf of the government.
Okay.
And the third option is that you have a bit also private wallet. So it's a bit a mixture of the first and the third one. So we will have the governmental wallet for everybody, yeah. But to give the freedom of choice, the citizens, according to the today published decision, will also have the chance to use private wallets. And it's a bit a competition, and I think that's great because it also sets the government under pressure to provide a governmental solution which is acceptable for the citizens. And it also gives a great chance for the adoption of eIDAS because the citizens and the companies are not bound to the one and the only solution or the one fits all solution, but for the solution which fits most in their interests. And this is exactly what we need. You know, the German eID is great. We achieved now also a good adoption of the German eID, but for a long time we had the most secure one. I know my quotation, that's why I repeat it. We had the most secure solution because we also mitigated the biggest security risk, which is the user. So against this background, I'm really happy that we changed a bit the approach and give the freedom of choice to the citizens and to the companies. And
Mhm. No, I
hopefully,
think that's a great approach, and this is definitely going to lead the innovation in the right direction.
definitely, and maybe Bulgaria
Okay.
will follow.
Well, let's see. Let's see. There will be others to follow as well. Let's hope so. There are strict timelines to be followed, so let's see what's going to be out there in the market. Okay, so a little bit we're shifting the conversation to EPSI. Why do you think is EPSI important, and how does that affect the wallet ecosystem, and particularly the European wallet ecosystem?
I think EPSI is important because it's an existing ecosystem. It's a bit quite similar to other ecosystems. You have the Web3 ecosystem, you have the industry ecosystem with Catena X, with Gaia X, etc. And we don't build eIDAS 2 on the green field. If we want to achieve a great adoption, we have to recognize existing ecosystems because otherwise we will have a bit an issue. Reason, the UDI wallet is voluntary. The citizens can use it, they are not forced to use it.
Of
And
course.
if you can issue an attestation of attributes in any system, and this is the real business, where how many times do we really need the eID? In most cases, you need your mobile driver license, you want to pay something, you want to get access somewhere, etc. So exactly the attestation of attributes. And Also for identification purposes, you can use the attestation of attributes. Not in LOA high, but only in less cases you need LOA high. This means if we don't recognize existing ecosystems, we will exactly have the effect that those ecosystems will ignore the UDI wallet. They will define, oh, I need LOA substantial maximum. In this case, I don't have to use the UDI wallet. I follow the protocols and the formats and the interfaces so that I have the interoperability, but I don't really adopt the UDI wallet only in the cases where I'm forced to do it. And this will lead to the subject that the UDI wallet will be used only in the less high regulated cases. And this is, I think, not the idea of the UDI wallet. We want to have a big or broad adoption, and for this we have to recognize existing ecosystem. This is first of all. Second of all, EPSI is provided by the member states. Means it's public good. It's a public infrastructure with governmental trust anchor by default. This means any UDI wallet, any qualified trust service which is built on EPSI is built on public good, public infrastructure. Means you as a user do not depend on a private company only, especially in case of QTSP or an UDI wallet provider, which is a private provider. Because those providers depend on the infrastructure they use, and this infrastructure is controlled by the member state. And in this case, you rely on public good on the governmental trust anchor. You have an additional trust layer in comparison to other qualified trust service providers or other wallets. That's the other reason. And the third one is especially in B2B cases. In the blockchain or distributed ledger, you can combine identity and transaction. So especially for subjects like supply chain or digital product passport, you can show the origin of the product together with the complete supply chain. So you have the product passport where you can make evident, okay, that's my Tesla. From where is the Tesla, the good parts of the Tesla coming from which companies, etc. And you can check the whole supply chain, which was recorded on the DRT. And this is exactly something which is, yes, also it's not really possible with other infrastructure. You can do this with also distributed databases, but how many distributed databases you know across Europe with governmental trust anchor? Yeah, okay, it's exactly the answer. And that's why EPSI matters also, especially for those cases. The other one is, let's say, combination of ownership and identity. It's something we currently pilot in the Trace4You project, co-funded by the European Commission. Who owns a song? Who owns Hey Judy? Maybe me. You need my identity? And I want to sell it to you. So I need a representation of the ownership. This is what we exactly do with non-fungible tokens. Combine the token and combine the identity, and you combine identity and transaction. Because the token you can deploy on the ledger and you can sell on the ledger. And then you have exactly this combination. And this is, especially for B2B cases, really great. And for the ones who ask, do I need it? Is there regulation? We have the EU supply chain regulation. So we have the pressure for European companies to make the supply chain evident against third parties, and this is exactly the chance for the EPSI.
Oh, yes, I cannot agree more. And just coming back to the attestation of attributes that you mentioned, I'm not going to mention who's that. It's a quite well-known colleague of ours that not having a wallet and a way to identify himself led him taking the wrong bus to the wrong direction. So let's implement more technologies that will ease our day-to-day lives. So this is the whole idea of what we're talking about in digital identity. We need to ease the day-to-day operations of people. That's just a little bit of a direction out of the conversation. Okay, so how do you see then the adoption of identity wallets evolving across Europe over the next few years. We've seen some developments in Germany. We've seen as well some exciting stuff happening in the US, but in Europe, how do you see that? What's your vision?
Yeah, I think we will have, or I hope we will have a bit a step-by-step approach. What I have in mind and what I think would be a good approach in order to achieve a broad adoption of the UDI wallet is not to wait for the UDI wallet. As mentioned, in the most cases, you don't need to identify yourself. In the most cases, you need to know, okay, that's my bus. I want to go this direction. I take part in a conference. I want to go to exactly this conference, and I don't want to have the wrong bus, which is going in the other direction to another conference. Yeah, it's for the audience. This subject really happened. Yeah, so the bus driver does not need to know who you are,
Of course.
but the bus driver needs to know, and you need to know, it's my bus. And it's my bus to exactly my conference and not the other one, which might be in a complete other direction. Yeah. And for this, we need an attestation of attributes. It does not have to be a qualified one, but it's an attestation of attributes. So this means I expect a rollout of qualified and non-qualified attestation of attributes as soon as possible. Yeah. As soon as the formats, the protocols, and interfaces are defined, we will have qualified and non-qualified trust services providing such subjects. And we will have wallets and other systems adopting them. Yeah. At the end of the day, we will have a custom identity and access management on the client side, on the like party, which works exactly with those protocols, formats, and so on. And I think this is the most technical added value of the eIDAS, that we will have unique standards for everybody, for every system on this stuff, so that we will use attestation of attributes in daily life just before the UDI wallet is really published. It's not really an issue because it makes it easy to integrate the UDI wallet in the ecosystem. And we use the time to enable relying parties in dealing with attestation of attributes together with citizens and companies, and also to enable issuers, so banks, insurance, health, government, to issue those subjects for their own or together with a qualified trust service, and to understand a bank can, on one hand, be an issuer, and on the other hand, relying party, and to identify which data do I need for the service, how do I deal with it, what's my business model, what are my processes. This makes it much easier than to say, okay, I list myself as a relying party for an UDI wallet for those and those and those data. I can integrate the UDI wallet easily because I already did it with the other wallets, which work with the same protocols, with the same formats, with the same interface. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's an EPSI wallet or they're using EPSI, coming with OID for VP as the presentation protocol, and then attestation of attributes in STJVC, or if it's in the UDI wallet. Doesn't matter for that. And this is what I expect. So an increasing ecosystem just before the UDI wallet is really on the market. And this is exactly what we need to enable the ecosystem, to build the ecosystem before the UDI wallet occurs. Otherwise, we will have the ecosystem 2030 or 2040 or never.
Well, let's try to be as positive as possible, but also realistic as possible. We have seen that the identity wallets have skyrocketed in terms of awareness, attention, and just in terms of companies putting an ID wallet as a product out there. So obviously, that's very, very hot at the moment throughout Europe. We've seen it already. So what role does eIDAS 2 play in shaping that future, do you think? Because we've covered some of the aspects of the ecosystem, but we've had the eIDAS 2 um, developments in the last few months. How do you see that going forward? Because we need to probably start planning for eIDAS 3. But before we do that, we must also make sure it's implemented in the best way possible as it's still in development.
Yeah, I would explain it a bit with the picture. It's a common ground, common playing field. Yeah, that defines, do we play football or do we play handball? Yeah, so we play football. Um, but eIDAS does not define if we play tiki-taka or if we play catenaccio. Yeah, so this is what eIDAS just leave in the hands of the member states and of the qualified trust services or trust service providers. Uh, and I think the added value of eIDAS is exactly this, to define the playing field, the playing ground, and the the sports which we will do on this playing field. So we play football and not handball and not basketball and so on. Yeah, and this is one. On the other hand, it defines common rules for everybody, and in comparison to eIDAS 1, the amendment limits the possibility for national specifics, which is exactly for countries like Germany, which likes to do the 150% solution really great because it also limits us in perfection. Yeah, this is one. On the other hand, with the fact that you have mandatory implementing acts in nearly all articles of the eIDAS, referencing technical standards, you will also have a common technical playing field. Yeah, and as ETSI and CEN reference worldwide standards like SDJ and IETF, like OID for VCI, VP, we define a framework which can also be adopted by non-European countries without adopting the regulation. That means in practical terms that Korea may use ISA MDL for the driver license too. They may use an SDJ for other verified credentials or attestations too. This means if you travel from Bulgaria to Seoul with your passport, you can use the digital passport also at the airport in Seoul or at the border in Seoul because it works with the same protocols, with the same interface, with the same formats. And this is exactly the added value which eIDAS and the eIDAS ecosystem gives to the world. So that other areas like the Middle East, like Asia, like the US, like Canada, can adopt the technical stuff without adopting the whole regulation. And this is, I think, the most added value the eIDAS gives not only for Europe, but for international collaboration.
We can state that the EU is paving the way into that direction of collaborating with other continents and other regions. So the future is bright. Let's hope that we are quicker than what the timelines are stated as in terms of regulation, but also let's hope that the advancements are coming quicker than what is planned. But nonetheless, we've touched the basis a little bit upon public and private sectors, but how do you see those two sides collaborating? in terms of the implementation of ID wallets and solutions in general, because obviously we have here the example of Germany. Other countries probably will follow, but what's your view? What is the right way, really?
I think the right way is to have an interaction of all players within the eIDAS ecosystem. Means wallet providers, trust service providers, relying parties, users, and parties like me, so a bit of consultants who are a bit in between of everybody, um, to have a comprehensive view on the subject and to recognize the requirements of all parties within the ecosystem. Because otherwise, it may fit for the wallet provider, but not for the relying party, and so on. We need the interaction of everybody, yeah. And what I miss a bit, to be honest, it's also a bit a critique on Germany, but it's a bit a criticism on the current scope of the Commission. The UDI wallet for the citizen is great, but the most transactions using verifiable credentials we have in B2B and B2G, so between government and companies, or government and business, or business to business. And the subject for organizational wallet is still open. So we have the requirement, there has to be issued an organizational wallet also to companies with an organizational ID. If you currently ask 10 people what means organizational ID, I'm pretty sure you will have 20 answers. And this is, I think, the biggest risk we currently have, so that we established a good exchange of our parties concerning the wallets for citizens, but we lack a bit on a clear vision concerning the identities and the wallets for the business. And this is, from my perspective, a bit of risk.
Okay, okay. Also, what should we do? How do we communicate all of this to the whole European Union? Obviously, we have almost 400 million people, citizens that will use, in a way, the ID wallets or in any sort of a form. How do we say, how do we communicate all of this to them? What would be, what is the, again, here a question about the right thing to do, or possibly here there is no right or wrong thing. But as the EU is leading the way with the eIDAS 2, what would be the better way of doing it?
I think a good way of doing it is especially via the relying parties. So that the bank inform their clients about the wallet, about the possibilities with concrete use cases, or the same the health sector or your insurance company, etc. So because if it's only coming from the government, it seems a bit the like a bit of pressure, or like an enforcement of the citizens. The other subject is to involve market-leading platforms. I know that Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon is quite indifferent, but on the other hand, all of us use our Google and Apple wallet for payment and for other stuff. Yeah, so to have them in the boat, and so that they also push the UDI wallet stuff, so that you can use the wallet without any issue in their ecosystem. we will really address the citizens at the end of the day. Yeah, because to be honest, we are experts. Yeah, we are the 5% experts in Europe. 90 up to 95% use day on daily use Google and Apple, and they don't think about it. They only want to have 2 or 3 subjects. It has to be fast. It has to be comfortable within the complete
Hmm.
ecosystem, Google or Apple, and they shouldn't pay too much for it. And this is what we have to achieve.
Great answer. Thank you. And in which sectors, or let's call it industries in Germany, are leading the way in ID wallets? Have you seen already particular sectors that are far more advanced than others? What is the situation in Germany right now?
Yeah, I have to say I have a personal clear view on the subject, but I don't have the full picture. Yeah, as you know, um, nobody has
Yes,
the
that's a very broad.
comprehensive view. But from my perspective, it's especially the healthcare sector, as we have this what we call health ID in Germany, that public and private health insurance companies had the obligation to provide a digital identity to their clients by January 2024. And those identities were mostly issued as wallets, so that we already have and you can say PID in a wallet. Yes, it might not achieve the full LOA high according to eIDAS 2, but it's a difference if you start from scratch or if you have a solution, you only have to move into eIDAS. Yeah, this is one. So I think the healthcare is one subject we have to mention. The other one is the industry concerning Gaia X, Catena X, where we have existing solutions, especially on the secure data sharing stuff. And I think we have to mention the Web3, the Web3. We have some solutions in the government, but they are really particular for some special providers, some special companies or wallet providers on the subject. So, but in summary, you can say it's the health sector because by law
Mhm,
they had to provide something. It's the industry, and we have a bit the Web3, and then some less solutions in other industries. Maybe we have to mention a bit the education, as there was a pilot project, and the educational sector takes part in EPSI since some years. So there we contribute a bit or benefit a bit from the EPSI ecosystem.
mhm, mhm. Okay. Last question to you then. Where should we focus now going forward in terms of um, European digital identity wallet ecosystem? Where should be our focus? What we should do in the next few months? Where should we the power moves in a way? What do you think?
I think several subjects. One is to stop discussing about technology. It doesn't matter if you use a ledger or what, or carry or PKI or whatever, but just to focus on building up the ecosystem, building up concrete use cases, integrate existing ecosystems if it's industry, if it's the Web3, if it's the EPSI stuff, etc. Yeah. Enable relying parties, enable trust service providers, etc. So solve core questions like, what is my authentic source? From where do I get the data and how? Which will be attested by trust services or by public authorities issuing attestation of attributes. So looking on how can we establish the ecosystem, start building up the ecosystem on concrete use cases in collaboration with existing ecosystems so that in 1 or 2 years we start working with wallets so that it's the integration of the UDI wallets is only a small step due to the fact that trust service providers, that public authorities issuing attestations or relying parties already work with such a subject. This is one. So the enabling, the building up of the ecosystem and the enabling of the parties involved in the ecosystem. The other subject is start building concrete solutions and answers for the organizational wallet and the organizational identity. Because the majority of the transactions we have between business and business and business and government. Otherwise, we will have a separate ecosystem which may use the same technology, yeah, but which may ignore the UDI wallet for the organizations and the organizations and companies. So start working on the subject. What is an organizational wallet? What is an organizational identity? Who issues it? And adopt solutions which are already there. It's Clive, it's EBSI, etc. So long story short, stop discussing on technology, pull down the walls between the different technologies. It doesn't matter if it's W3C, VCDM, or SDJ or EBSI, whatever. Start working on the ecosystem, the enabling of the parties, and start working with the on solutions for the organizational identity and the organizational wallets. These subjects are, from my perspective, the keys to establish the ecosystem. Also, I know with clear answers, you don't really need the consultants, but maybe that's the reason why I'm an expert and not a salesman. Yeah.
Here you go. Well, thank you for that descriptive answer. That's been really good. And, from our point of view, from Global Trust Foundation, this is also something that we're trying to achieve, to bring the neutral field to all of the decision makers, the key players in the ecosystem. So I would like to invite, for everybody watching us, to our European Digital Identity Wallets Forum on the 9th of October in Berlin, in the Spielfeld Digital Hub, where we're going to have probably one of the most prominent identity experts, providers, QTSPs, wallet guys, and all sorts of experts discussing the most painful issues. And we will take your advice. Let's not fight in terms of what's best as a technological solution, but let's find the answers to the more important questions. So, Stefan, thank you very much for this interview. It's been great, a pleasure talking to you. And I hope our audience enjoys it as much as I did. And we will continue these series for basically to show our audience how the ecosystem is evolving and where the ID wallets and digital identity in general is going forward. So once again, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure having you, and we shall see you soon on the 9th of October in Berlin.
Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you very much. See
All
you.
right.